last time we talked, it was looking like they're going to get an extension done because they were hugging each other. Brandon and Kyle and John. There was a hug. People read into it. Then it was like, no, actually, he's probably going to get traded. And yesterday it was like, he's definitely not getting traded to the Steelers. And then an hour ago, Schefter said, wow, the Steelers are back in the mix. How do you, as someone who's been a journalist for a very long time, how do you interpret this coverage?
I have to say, as a former journalist, the coverage of where Aiyuk is going to end up is very mushy. I mean, M-U-S-H-Y. It's not like he's going to end up. Report when you know where he's going to go. Now, the report is he could go to one of three places: Patriots, Cleveland, or what's the other one? Pittsburgh. Okay. When you have it narrowed down to one team, send out the bat signal over Gotham City. But until then, this is just a lot of wasted noise. So it's noise.
I think what's funny about it is like there's 2 or 3 people who are supposed to break all the news in the NFL. And it's Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, maybe one other person. They break all the big stories. But on this particular scoop, there's been a guy named Ricky. He may not be a guy. His picture on Twitter is just a picture of a dog with a New York Giants hat on. And he's been a week ahead of all the big journalists. And yesterday he said Aiyuk's going to Pittsburgh. And a lot of journalists said, no, it's not going to happen. No. He's going to get traded, most likely, but not Pittsburgh. They're out. It's going to be Cleveland or New England. And then today they were like, yeah, okay, Pittsburgh's back in. It's fun to watch those people who probably get spoon-fed scoops just twisting the wind.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
What I have to say is, Ricky, don't lose that number.
I'm rooting for Ricky.
I'm for Ricky.
I'm rooting for Ricky.
Iggy, when they have a team, let me know. But let's get to more serious things. You think he's gone?
I think he's gone. It seems to me that I asked Kyle today. I said, from a head coach's perspective, would it be detrimental to the team to keep Brandon Aiyuk if he's unhappy and doesn't have an extension? And he just goes, well, yeah, there's pluses and minuses with everything. So there's a definite downside to having that guy be a malcontent on the field, in the locker room all the time, and have that whole drama hang over the team. Doesn't seem like they want it. They tried to have it. It seems unnecessary. They have wide receivers, and I think at this point they just want to be done with him.
Yeah, and also Kyle did confirm that they're allowing him to talk to other teams.
He did
confirm that.
He did confirm that.
Okay, so it would seem pretty clear, unless there's some kind of Hail Mary, as it were, from the Aiyuk side, that he's going to be traded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my next question is, if they trade him, are the Niners better or worse?
Worse.
Why?
Because the Niners aren't dealing from a position of strength right now. The situation they're in is they gave an offer to Aiyuk that he didn't want, and he seems to know that Pittsburgh will give him an offer he does want, and that he can veto every other team that tries to deal with him. It's like a basketball player. It's like what LeBron James would do. I'm taking my talents to that team, and there's nothing you can do. And the Niners are trying to save face right now. It's like, well, what about Cleveland? We can get a better offer from Cleveland. What about New England? We can get a better offer from New England. Aiyuk's like, not going.
Iggy, here's my question. Why can he veto those other teams?
Great question. Because he has 1 year left on his deal, and no team is going to trade for Aiyuk unless they know that he's going to sign an extension with them. Really, the extension would be announced at the same time as the trade. So that's his veto power. I'm not signing an extension with you. You can have me for 1 year just like the Niners, but then I'm going to be a free agent. That's his power.
Very interesting. I would also point something. Well, you keep going. I have other things down the line. You keep going.
I just think it's interesting how the NFL is turning into the NBA. The NFL used to be very much a front office management league, and players didn't have much leverage. But now wide receivers, the big divas, are in the $30 million a year range, and all of a sudden they're like basketball players. They're going to pick where they want to go, and they're going to use their leverage, and you got to decide if you want to be in business with players like that. And really, if this trade happens, I want to see how the Niners benefited from waiting 4 months. They could have done that. They could have traded Aiyuk to the Steelers in April. This was a topic at the owners meetings in Orlando when I was there. So they waited, and I'd love to know how they benefited from that if this goes through.
I see. They might have been able to get more at the top end.
Or maybe they didn't benefit, and maybe they just waited and waited and waited, and the Steelers didn't up their offer, and the Niners finally got uncomfortable with the whole thing.
What they don't need is what's happening now.
Hmm?
You know, it's interesting. It seems with this group, there's always drama as you get toward, the exhibition games. There's always drama. And it's a good team. They'll get past it, but you don't need it. It's a distraction. It's a pain in the neck. And now they've got it here. But it's interesting, Iggy. They don't have it with Trent Williams.
What do you mean?
No one's. Well, there's a lot of anger, talking on the media and in the organization about Aiyuk. Very quiet about Trent Williams.
Yeah.
Very quiet.
Seems kind of like Aiyuk has hijacked the news cycle.
And it seems like the left tackle is a more mature person and keeps his business private.
Yep.
He hasn't dragged the franchise through the mud, and this other kid has. As a result, whenever Trent Williams comes back, and I assume he will come back, it'll be flawless. There won't be any problem. Everyone will welcome him back, and that's it. This kid may not be welcome anymore in that locker room. Tell him what CMC said about him.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey was on, he's hurt. We're going to talk about that in a minute. He was on the NFL Network today getting interviewed, and they asked him, like, well, what do you make of this Aiyuk situation? He goes, I really don't make much of it. It's not my deal. I'm a running back. It's not my deal. Anytime you're dealing with a former teammate, and he goes, teammate. So Freudian slip, called Brandon Aiyuk a former teammate. Maybe he knows more than we do.
Well, it's more than that, Iggy. It's not respectful.
That's true.
I mean, he's a Stanford guy. He's not stupid.
Yeah.
It's not respectful. They wouldn't say that about Trent Williams.
Mm-mm.
You would say anytime you're dealing with that, it's really hard, but it's a business. We understand it. Brandon is a close friend of mine. He's a hard worker, and he's a great player, and we hope it works out for him and for the team. He didn't say that. He dismissed him.
Yeah.
He dismissed him, Iggy. In fact, he kicked him in the butt. He made fun of him.
Yeah.
And my feeling is, again, I've never met McCaffrey. I don't know what kind of guy he is, but I think what he was saying is, I had enough of him. And I think he's also saying the team has had enough of him.
You're right. Christian McCaffrey kicked him out, and it was like, we were watching Brandon do his thing all off season, and every time it was like, are you putting down your teammates? He went on that podcast and he called himself the best true wide receiver on the team. It's like, well, Debo's your teammate. And he said he was tired of taking a back seat to everyone else. It's like, well, those are your teammates. They're going to watch the interview. Don't you think that they're like not going to like what you have to say? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think what he was expressing was the point of view of the team. We had enough of this diva egomaniac. Get rid of him, and let's get on with the season. That's what I think he was saying.
I completely agree. Now, we're talking about drama. So it's nice that Christian tries to focus the team, but again, that's more drama, man. You call a guy who's still on your roster, your former teammate. Aiyuk's, first of all, he's embracing the coach. Then a week later, there's 3 teams trying to trade for him. There's a hold-in, there's a holdout, there's injuries. I think the Niners are going to win the award for most training camp drama, which isn't the award you want to win.
Well, yeah. Tell him who else is hurt.
Christian McCaffrey's hurt. Ricky Pearsall's hurt. We're going to talk about Christian in a second at length, moving pretty quick. But yeah, I mean, like at some point, I'm not writing the Niners off because of the way the offseason has gone so far. It's August 6th, but like at some point, the focus has to be on football, and it's not right now.
It will, though. Iggy,
it will.
I'm telling you, these guys are drama queens, and they're used to it, and they'll get on with the season. But I want to come back to a question I asked you a few minutes ago. Are they better or worse without Aiyuk? And you said worse. Tell me why. Is it that they have no wide receiver who can do what he does?
Yeah, I mean, whoever they're going to get to replace Brandon Aiyuk isn't going to be as good as Brandon Aiyuk. They're trading him kind of as a desperation move right before the season starts. They might be able to. They theoretically could get Amari Cooper from the Browns, but Aiyuk doesn't want to go to the Browns. Or they could get Kendrick Bourne from the Patriots. That's a downgrade. Aiyuk doesn't want to go to the Patriots. So it's like whatever, keep him, and he's not happy, or whatever they can get from the Steelers. And it seems like the Steelers know that they're the only team in the race, that they're not going to bid against themselves, and they're not making a very good offer. So it seems kind of like the Niners are trading from a position of weakness and trying to get whatever they can to save some face. But if this deal does go through, I think Niner fans are going to be very upset.
Okay, what about on their current roster? Do they have someone who can replace Aiyuk?
No, that's why they want Aiyuk. They need a wide receiver. You talking about the Niners?
Yeah.
Oh, they have Ricky Pearsall, who's hurt again. They have Chris Conley, who's 32 and isn't a starter anymore. Who's been on and off their practice squad. They have Ronnie Bell, who was okay last year. No, they don't have anyone as good as Brandon Aiyuk. And if they really wanted to find someone who could potentially replace him, this is a move you make before the draft. Now you're trying to trade him for a veteran? I don't know.
What about Juwan Jennings?
Juwan Jennings is very good, but they already had Juwan Jennings. It's not. I don't know that it's better to have Juwan Jennings and Brandon Aiyuk than just Juwan Jennings. But if Aiyuk goes, I would like to see the Niners make Jennings a starter. It seems like he's having a hell of a camp and has really improved.
So let me ask it a better way, because you're smarter than I am. Is Jennings comparable to Aiyuk?
They're different, but they're both good. Like Aiyuk has the ability to go deep. He's not the fastest guy, but he wins a lot of his routes 15, 20, 25, 30 yards down the field. That's not Jennings. He's almost like a tight end in terms of his speed, but he's just as good of a route runner as Aiyuk. He's bigger than Aiyuk. He's a better blocker than Aiyuk. He's probably tougher than Aiyuk. He's just slower, but I think he could be a perfect fit with Brock Purdy. It's not like Brock Purdy throws deep a lot.
Right. So here's what I'm saying. Let's assume Aiyuk is gone to one of 3 destinations or 50 others. We don't know. But you start Debo and you start Jennings as your 2 wideouts. That's pretty good. And I don't think you've lost a lot. Who would the third one be? This Ricky guy?
Maybe Ricky, don't lose that number, or maybe Ronnie Bell or Chris Conley, or that's fine. And then you also have George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Juszczyk. You have more than enough weapons. That's why, like, if the Niners do trade Brandon Aiyuk, I don't think they have to approach it like we need a wide receiver in return. No, you don't. Even if you did trade for Kendrick Bourne, is he better than Juwan Jennings right now? I don't think so.
Right. That's why I'm saying I saw part of Kyle's news conference today. He didn't seem nervous. No, he's a coach. I think he's thinking, this guy's out. I got other guys. I don't even need a guy from Pittsburgh or the other 7,000 teams that he might go to. I got guys right here. That's how I think a coach imagines it.
I agree. And I feel like with Kyle, the player that would make him nervous about if he had to lose one wide receiver is Debo. Because Debo is so unique. There's no other wide receiver in the world like him, and replacing him would take multiple players. And I think Kyle builds a lot of his offense around that unique skill set. From Kyle's perspective, Aiyuk's really good, but there's dozens of wide receivers who can do the things that he does on this team, including Kendrick Bourne.
Let me ask you this, and this we don't have an answer to. This is pure speculation. Do you think Kyle wants to coach Aiyuk this season?
At this point, I mean, in an ideal world where money didn't matter and this wasn't happening, sure, he's a good player. But after all that's taken place, I don't think so.
That's how I feel. My feeling is he's probably already washed his hands of him.
I agree. It seems like maybe 4 months ago, the Niners were like, you know what? We can force Aiyuk to do what we want. We can force him to play on the 5th-year option. We have the leverage. He'll fall in line. I think 4 months later, they're like, we're tired of this. He's not going to fall in line. This is a huge headache. Let's just be done. Let's move on. We don't need this.
Yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I think he feels. In addition, it's how I would feel. Enough already.
Yeah, because we're talking about drama, right? Like if this lingers on into the season, week 1, week 2, Aiyuk no extension, it's just drama that hangs over the team and takes the focus away from football. Well, how's Aiyuk feeling? What are his emotions today? Was he happy with the way he was used? It's like, that's not what a Super Bowl contending team needs. They need the absence of that.
I agree. They need everybody pulling together.
Everybody pulling together.